entrepreneurship as their career. But comparing it with the today's situation, we can say that we are in the golden age of entrepreneurship. Even there are various government flagships which motivate people to become entrepreneur. I was reading an article about the economic survey of 2021 and 2022, which got published in the Economic Times recently. You all will be amazed to know that India has become the third largest ecosystem startup in the world, right after US and China. At least 14,000 new startups have been recognized, and this value of 14,000 is 20 times as it is compared with the last preceding 5 years. So, with this huge growth, every individual is getting motivated to become a successful entrepreneur. Although this idea of becoming entrepreneur is appealing to us, but at the same time, there are various hardship involved. Right from writing the business plan, doing the marketing of it, getting the right staff, implementing your business plan, there are various hurdles which the individual have to go before becoming the successful entrepreneur. There is hefty amount of information which is available in the internet. We all can serve on it and see the path of becoming entrepreneur. But to give practical insight on how one should start building their dream of becoming successful entrepreneur, we are organizing today's webinar because just getting mere information on becoming entrepreneur is not sufficient. Getting the practical knowledge, the real stories of the entrepreneur, we should know the depth about it. And for this, we have our speaker for today, Mr. Nishant Bhatt. Now, I would like to request the teacher in charge, Ms. Poonam Sharma ma'am, to kindly introduce and invite a speaker for today. Over to you, ma'am. You're muted, ma'am.
Host is not allowing. Okay. Uh, Now it is. Very good afternoon to all present here. Our principal sir, Professor Rajiv Agrawal, IQAC coordinator, Dr. Aditya Saxena, Mr. Nishank Bhatia, our esteemed speaker for today's topic, my colleagues, and all our dear students. Sonam has given a lot of information about entrepreneurship. Still, I can say Jamshedji Tata, Aditya Birla, Dhirubhai Ambani, J.R.D. Tata, Sabir Bhatia, Kiran Majumdar Shaw. These are very well-known names among from a very long list of entrepreneurs who have contributed to the economic development of our country. So, what is the entrepreneurship? What's its role after globalization and after growth of IT industry? Various other opportunities are available to the people. So, and how important entrepreneurship is, why we have chosen this topic. So, Schumpeter defined it, entrepreneur as an innovator. Entrepreneur forces the potentially profitable opportunities to exploit it. So, he's a risk bearer, problem shooter, gets satisfaction in confronting the problems, performs various activities. So we can say entrepreneur is one of the most important inputs in economic development of a country or regions within the country. Here, the entrepreneurial competence makes all the difference in the role of economic, in the rate of economic growth. And in India, we have state and private entrepreneurships, they coexist. New generation of entrepreneurs we have after globalization and after IT industry. Sabir Bhatia is uh, a known name uh, for that. So we have chosen this topic, and Mr. Nishank Bhatia, like the topic is how to become an entrepreneur in 2022. Now about our esteemed speaker, Mr. Nishank Bhatia. He's a business strategist, an entrepreneur, consultant to a lifestyle brand and a textile brand, a mentor to students with their startups, and an avid speaker at webinars, seminars on entrepreneurship across public and student forums. He has conducted various sessions at all the colleges of DU, entrepreneurship and growth strategies, sessions on this. So uh, he's a D2C head at Just Organic and works as an entrepreneur at Team Champion International. He has conducted various sessions in different colleges. So, uh, not taking much of your time now, I would like to invite Mr. Nishank Bhatia to please share your views on how to be an entrepreneur in 2022. So over to you, Mr. Bhatia. Please join.
First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting me here, and thank you to all the office peers of Commerce Society of Deshbandhu College. It's always a privilege to speak among my fellow students. Before I start, I would really like to tell all of you that entrepreneurship cannot be taught. So even if it's 2022 or even if it would have been 1960, entrepreneurship is a practical experience and is only, you know, could be gained by having your endeavors in business as you started. So for to start my journey and to start with my thoughts, uh, entrepreneurship is not what we actually read on Google, because a lot of people going to Google and searching what entrepreneurship is about, and we have these technical terms briefed us to us, and then we go to the dictionary to find its meaning. In a general sense, entrepreneurship has to be first about yourself. There are a lot of definitions. The one that I connect with is being an entrepreneur is all about having the freedom to live your own life in your own terms, irrespective of the fact how much money you make, how much how you stand out to society. Because as an entrepreneur, you're generally prone to judgments of people, specifically in a country like India, where a lot of population is middle class and they are into services. So all the students here, I would really like you to be a part of this session with a thought that you'll gain insights from my personal experience and not a definitive plan. Because if you invite 100 more speakers, they're going to give you 100 more directions on how to become an entrepreneur in 2022. So take that general influence, and in fact, with this talk, I would like to influence you all to take up entrepreneurship if you can, not just to give you a direction or a vector which you can follow straight away. So my journey to entrepreneurship started 11 years back while I was in my first year of college with Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, University of Delhi. My family, I always joke around, that is extremely educated. I don't know why. My father was recently awarded with Kaushalya Acharya Award by PM Modi. My mom is a triple MA. She's a teacher. So while I was, my parents were making me learn ABCD. So with E, they always taught to me about education. That E stands for education. That I totally respect, and that is why I am the third generation of my family who got into DU. But when I was in my college, I got introduced to a new word that started with E, and that's what we call entrepreneurship. And the endeavor that I took, or the influence I had because of the rejection I had. I always also joke around that I had a very bad childhood, as my mom was a teacher in my school. So I was a very introvert boy. I didn't used to talk to people. I was always in my own head, and I used to have a very small group of people whom I interacted with. And I knew this can't go around if I want to be successful, and if I want to, live my life on your own terms. So coming from a middle class family where we always used to talk about getting into IITs or pursuing masters, and I shied away from all these endeavors because I had my own plans. I desperately wanted to do English honors, but my parents withdrew my admission from North Campus, and they sent me to a computer science class in GGS College. Well, that is how I started with my college life. And as I started with my college life, I really understood the power of the university you're part of. It's been around since last 100 years. I listened to stories from my grandfather who crossed the border in 1947. He was a student from DU, and then my father became a student in DU. And then, being a Delhiite, I also became a student of DU. And what I could sense that whole of India comes to this little place in Delhi. You know, that's indifferently titled as another city. That's what we call Delhi universities. I believe there are almost 54 participants here. Half would be from outside Delhi, probably. And I understood this power of this city, of this university, that either I can take up the notion of following my graduation and then applying for a job through the college placement that probably might not get me the desired job that I want, or either I could go for masters, or either I could go for all these endeavors that are sustained all throughout last 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, right? And nothing new in it, right? A lot of people talk about different education, formal education aspects that I won't be sharing here now because the topic is not on that. And I understood, what if I try to build something while I'm a student? Because even if I start when I was 18 years old, and even if I fail at the age of 21, I would still have the chance, to follow the back lead that's been, of course, given by my college and given by my family. But I knew these 3 years were extremely important, and I should try something, I should build something, and I should, at least explore if I can be a business person. If I because I didn't have it, because I don't belong to a business family. So before you should start as an entrepreneur, you should have a why to it. Why? WHY. Because if you won't have the why for it, you will never know the how of it. Why do I say it? Because today entrepreneurship is a fashion, is a fad. When I was in my college way back in 2011, we had no society curating these seminars on entrepreneurship because people weren't aware. Everybody had Nokia smartphones where we played snake games. So we couldn't actually, even search on Google what entrepreneurship is. And I guess since 2015 and 16, when the whole dynamics of internet changed, when social media came into existence, colleges also came up with new innovative ideas by following with each other on what to organize and what not to organize. Because as a commerce society, I am sure that what you guys have done in 11 and 12th is all about building balance sheets for Ram, Mohan, and Sham, and matching it with your peers during exam times. And if you were successful, you would have got, what say, maybe 80 out of 80 or 100 out of 100. But that doesn't how real life works, or real business works. So what I said was, it is extremely important to have a why of it. Why do you want to become an entrepreneur? Is it a fashion? Is it look cool to you because you will write a name as a founder in your LinkedIn profile? Or you'll have more respect, or you'll have a big chest in front of your friends and family. Okay, you're doing a business. But in real terms, that's not what business is all about. I have a very different thought for entrepreneurship today, because entrepreneur is not about just starting a business. It is about living with it. It is about making a mark, and it is about going with it till you exist on this planet. Because the names ma'am mentioned uh, are the names being mentioned because they have lived, their stories have lived, and they lived over last 50, 60, 80 years, right? These stories getting $100 million of funding or $200 million of funding are short lived, right? because that's where the cool thing comes in. When you read articles on Google or search about people who are getting a lot of money in the name of entrepreneurship, and their idea is very short lived. Even they just came into entrepreneurship because they necessarily wanted to sell their own businesses to a venture capitalist. So whatever you read on internet, don't make it, or whatever you hear from me, don't make it as the bottom line, because your own individual experience would make eventually make the mark for yourself as an entrepreneur. And to understand it, first know yourself. Are you a person who would want to solve anything in this world? Are you a person who would want to give your life for people? Are you a person who would want to have this thought to, inspire or influence a lot of people? You want to go to masses, you want to solutions to masses. If you are in this category, probably your journey in entrepreneurship would be successful. But if you only start entrepreneurship, or you'll only start a business just to make money or just to become successful, or even if you have joined this webinar because your teacher told you to, right? It's better to watch a movie rather than listening to me, because the whole idea of entrepreneurship is actually about playing on why do you exist on this planet. So when I understood why do I exist on this planet, I could understand, okay, it's very important to have a, finance part to it. And either I will sell myself, that means I will go sell myself and, give interviews and do a job, or either I will sell something. There are only two choices, right? If I ask you what Sachin Tendulkar did, so you will tell me he played cricket, but he sold his cricketing skills, right? On a business aspect, on a technical note, right? If I ask you what uh, an actor like Mr. Ranveer Singh does, he sells his acting skills, right? So when you're an entrepreneur, you have to sell something, right? When you're an employee, you of course have to sell, but firstly you have to sell yourself, right? Go out, sell yourself to a company that would hire you, give you the amount that you desire, and work on it. So you need to understand your own comfort. If you want to break your own comfort, you need to have an education and have a practical experience to it. So I understood why I wanted to be an entrepreneur, why I wanted to pursue entrepreneurship. I was very sure with this fact, okay, I would be able to live for myself, right? I would be able to live on my own decisions and my own thought. A lot of people commit the mistake while they start as an entrepreneur, they go to people who have never been entrepreneurs and take their advices. For instance, maybe parents, because maybe they were in service, and you will ask how a business would run, they will never know, right? Maybe your teachers who never had experience on entrepreneurship, right? So it is important for yourself to keep you out there and, search for people who are actually entrepreneurs, who are actually pursuing businesses and sustainable businesses, right? The most important thing is sustainable businesses, because my uncle who lives in my neighborhood is worth $100 million, but nobody knows him. And that's what entrepreneurship was. Ma'am would agree with me that people who are successful and are the ages of 40 and 50 today, they're not on LinkedIn, they're not on social media, they don't have necessarily hundreds or thousands of followers, but they have big businesses. They run big businesses. They have a huge man force working for them, right? But as I give photocopies of my notes to students, I feel I'm an entrepreneur. No, that's not how it works. That's not how entrepreneurship actually works, right? A lot of people would, build startups while they're in college. I don't categorize themselves as entrepreneurs. I do categorize themselves as initiators and problem solvers, but they are not necessarily entrepreneurs, right? For instance, giving photocopies, selling photocopies of your notes if you're a topper to other students who don't attend classes. Of course, you can make money on it, but it's short lived. It's still you are doing it, right? You won't have a team working on it. You won't be able to scale it up. You won't be able to pivot it. You would of course solve a existing problem for students who are not studying in classrooms, but that doesn't mean it's a business, right? So entrepreneurship and business needs to be combined. That's what I feel, and that's only happens when you are working for a long term thought, for a long term understanding on what problem you're solving. A lot of people use Ola and Ubers today, but let's suppose if they would never have come, I don't think it would have created a problem to us. We were still were transporting ourselves from one place to another, right? We live in Delhi. There are a lot of metropolitans that don't have metros. We still would have been, transporting ourselves from one place to another. Of course, it would have been a little difficult with the population like we have in Delhi. But of course, it was a solution. It was a long-term solution. So the initiators of this thought process, maybe if they were in government, maybe if they were collaborated with a company, maybe if they were own something, they solved a problem, right? So what we feel entrepreneurship today is just starting up a company, finding investment for it, then maybe leaving it in middle or selling the business to someone else. That's not entrepreneurship because that's been going on a lot, right? I see every day on LinkedIn companies firing people, companies, a startup is firing people, a startup is promoting, but don't have that business that it should have. So my journey made me clear on this particular term that if you want to be an entrepreneur, know the why of it and then start with your journey. Because if you don't know the why behind it, right, you won't be able to scale it up, and eventually you will fail as an entrepreneur. And that happened with me also in my initial years. That because I was not that much focused for long term, I didn't have that results that I want. So the why part, why do you want to become an entrepreneur? It's extremely important before you go to the how part. Of course, I will be briefing to the how part because that's what matters, because that's how we have been brought up, right? Just tell the equation that we need to solve, or just tell the formula, because we always believe in a formula. We are mathematics students. We need a formula for everything. We know a plus b whole square doesn't work, so we always need a formula to solve life equations, right? So I'll of course go to that part, but before that, I would really want you to sit with yourself if you want to become an entrepreneur. If you found the problem, test that problem on yourself, right? Of course, before you build the market, know yourself. Are you able to handle the criticism the an entrepreneur brings with him or her on in her journey? When I started, of course, my parents didn't allow me. My friends didn't support me, right? Nobody did, like everyone's story, right? Like everyone's sad story, oh, I didn't get any support and all, right? So it's very general. It's nothing new. Today you start and your family doesn't support you, your friends doesn't support you, not so what? Happens everywhere. Happened with my uncle in 1980s who now worth 300 crores. He's not famous. He has factories. He's a mechanical engineer. Nobody knows him, but he's very successful, very rich. He provides employment to thousands of workers. Nobody knows him, right? Nobody knows him as in on social media, of course. But in real life, he has that connections, right? Because try to understand what we see on social media is necessarily not entrepreneurship, right? It could be, it might not be, right? But become a successful entrepreneur, you need to understand the business part of it, the economics of it, the finances of it, right? The theory you study, you need to practically apply it, right? You have to make your own balance sheets. So before you start, again, I'll say, understand the why of it. The first why is, of course, are you a person who's able to handle criticism well? Are you a person who's able to handle rejections well, right? We will take all the questions after I complete my talk. So we'll have a Q&A so you all can note down instead of, writing in chat box. I will be happy to answer your questions. So let me give 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'll be with my talk and you can ask me questions. So yeah, you have to handle criticism well. You have to handle rejections well. Your family might not support you. Your friends might not support you. You might not have success in first 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? You might not be able to scale your idea or product. You might not be able to convince people to be with you. And that's the biggest challenge in a country like India. अब मैंने business शुरू किया है, right? मुझे support कर. The other person will laugh at your face, right? Similarly, वो frankly say, शक्ल देखिए. Have you seen her face? Business शुरू किया, especially if you're a college student. The trust part, right? Of course, there are people who are rich, who are 40, 50-year old and are now investing in young startups, right? They might support you. Your friend might not, right? So try entrepreneurship is a new domain still in India, even in 2022. But if you have to be successful, you need to follow the moral grounds of people who became business person, successful business person, entrepreneurs in 1970s, 80s, and 90s, who are still running their businesses, right? Even you try to understand this. Last 30 years changed everything. When I entered college, I had a Nokia phone, Express Music. It had dancing lights. When I graduated, I had an iPhone 5S. So in front of me, the whole dynamics of smartphones changed the world. Getting in, my mom, when COVID happened, my mom was a teacher. She's 55. She learned laptop at the age 55. The whole dynamics changed. I'm sure as with so many teachers around, right? The dynamics change. So the people who have sustained themselves from last 30 years and successful, they have a better understanding and practical experience. You have to learn through their experience instead from someone who's just scaled up well, but we don't know about the future. So because there are so many ideas today that we listen every day, right? So don't relate yourself to them, right? Yeah, some of them become very rich initially by building a startup for 2 years, then scaling it up and having a funding of $1 million, and then but simple, you know. Like let's take a big example of a person who has to be an inspiration today, Mr. Sachin Bansal. I don't know if you know him. He's from Flipkart. He made Flipkart successful. He sold it to Walmart, exited. Now he would have, just sat at the beaches of Italy, enjoying his wealth. No, he started another company, and that's about to be a unicorn. I think it has been a unicorn. Navi, it's a financial fintech company because he had that seed of entrepreneurship in him. So this is one of the examples that inspires me. The ones who have been running it continuously, right? So are you a person who want to pursue it for years till you exist? Do you want to make that impact for next 40 years, 50 years till you are alive? You want to become that phase of entrepreneurship that so many people today are. So if you have this, take it on a long-term note, take it on a long-term thought. Of course, there'll be ups and downs. A lot of time you will fail, a lot of time you won't have the money to survive, a lot of time you will be rejected, a lot of time you will be successful. That's part of the journey. That's another thing. But try to understand it's all about the legacy eventually. It's all about building a sustainable business, giving the Rozgar employment to people, right? Building a family. Because, take it through the mindset. The major thing that affected me initially was what if I am not able to give salaries? I've hired people, maybe you, and the next month I say my business is not working. I'm not able to give you salary. Will you be generous enough to support me there? I don't know. Getting it. So there are a lot of domains, and that I'm telling you, it's a 45, 50-minute talk that won't give you all the insights to run a business, but eventually you will understand through my experience that it's extremely important what your vision is, what your long-term thought is, right? And if you have a vision, if your long-term thought, and you're 18, 19, or 20, I guess that's the best age to start. Because I'm telling you, even if you fail, let's suppose you start at 18 and you fail at 21. So what, you still 21? Your family is not asking you to contribute in major cases, right? They're not asking you kitni roti khai, uska dal ka hisab de. No, right? You still have a chance to have a comeback, right? Maybe do a job for a few years, handle your finances well, and then again start your venture, right? But generally what happens is people who start very late and then or with no finances, they struggle a lot. Let's suppose somebody who's 30, recently married, or who's 35, who doesn't have that much of savings and is now wants to start a business. Now he's sure that she'll become an entrepreneur. The challenges come up. I'm not saying that person can't be successful. Of course, he or she has that experience of failure, but the situation might not be favorable. So I guess that's the motive of this webinar. try to understand the motive of the webinar, right? Because there's no point of me, blabbering about my journey to you. You don't know me, I don't know you, right? You've invited me, so understand the motive behind it. The motive is to influence you here and learn what's the right time for you, why you should do it, right? Because how can be learned by only working in the field, working with your business. So that's why I, believe in, before you start, know the why. Write a big page. Why do you want to become an entrepreneur, right? Keep it in your diary, your journal, or paste it in front of your wall, right? Because if you have this thought of why do you want to start your journey, you'll be very excited always, right? You will embrace challenges, you will sort everything out, you will figure it out. Because also try to understand, we have not been raised like this. If you belong to a business family and you would want to be a second generation entrepreneur, it might be easy for you, because that what happened with you in your childhood. Your family might have had that conversation on dining tables while eating dinner, where your father or mother would be briefing you about the uncle and the auntie or the munshi or the accountant, what mistakes or what good things he did. So you might have heard those conversation in your family. If they were in business, you might have brought up with it, right? But if not, then you have to learn everything from scratch. And then when you learn everything from scratch, you actually have to have a big vision for yourself. And in any of the case I just told you about, you have to have a big vision for yourself, right? And your life and the impact you would want to create. Because we don't have any formal education for it. And don't believe, okay, I'll do an MBA, crash course to entrepreneurship. It doesn't work like that, right? You learn theories, you'll have a good vocabulary of technical terms that are used to describe certain processes in everyday operations, right? But running a business is more of knowing yourself, knowing the people around you, building a family, and taking them on a ride with you forever. And if you understand this, uh, that's great for you. So that's the why part of why you should become an entrepreneur and why you should start your journey as a student, because it's the best time. Because best case scenario, you'll succeed. Worst case scenario, you'll fail. Both the cases, you're not losing anything. You have time, and you could, learn from a lot of people. So that's the why part of it. How part of it, it's subjective. It's subjective to the business you're building. So on a general note, in a generic sense, you need to have an idea. So the first step is to ideate, ideation. What problem are you solving? A lot of people get a lot of ideas. If you sit with anyone today, he or she will have the gyan. Okay, मुझे लगता है ऐसा होना चाहिए. But try to understand, Lagna is not guaranteed to a business, right? Try to understand this. A lot of people, yes, a lot of people begin with their ideas. I think this should happen. Like the owner of Uber. Once he got out of a restaurant very late at night and he wanted a cab. He couldn't find any cab. So he thought, okay, I should build a cab company, right? It happens. But then you have to invest yourself wholly in it. You cannot just expect, okay, I got an idea, I should just start working on it as it is, right? You need to have this thought. You need to have this understanding. So that's one aspect of the first step, I would say, to have that idea, ideation, and support your idea with the research. That's the second part. So when you ideate, you need to have the logics and the facts. I was just briefing one of my interns today. I gave him an assignment and he came with a research. So the research came out to be the opinions of people on Quora. I won't say that's not a real research, right? Research are facts. Research can be done with a large subset of people, right? And then you can calculate the percentage of the product that we currently have. 70% people are supporting it, 30% people are not supporting it, and then work on these dimensions on which dimension has to be explored more. The person who are supporting it and the using our products, or the persons who are not, and why not? So when you ideate, you have to understand the problem well. Is it really a problem? Is it your problem? So let's suppose your mom doesn't make your favorite food, right? So now you say, oh, it should be a startup idea. A lot of moms don't make my favorite food, so let's go and give people their favorite food. But no, that doesn't happen everywhere. Moms do make favorite food, right? So you cannot just have your problem converted into a startup idea and expect, okay, ये तो business सही है, ये तो अच्छा चलेगा. No, it won't happen like that, right? So work on your idea well. Understand your idea. Understand the needs of your idea. Take up one idea, like I guess Steve Jobs said, or some of the big entrepreneurs said, take up one idea, make it your life, right? Take up this one idea, explore it to the depths, go 100 feet deep, 200 feet deep, explore it. And if you sense the potential behind it, if you see it solving a problem, right, support it with research. That's essentially the second step. You have an idea, you have the research, right? You can combine it and you can go and build a notion on it, and I would say build a business on it, thought on it. Because if you have it, you would explore it. And now do understand, are you good at that idea? Of course, your research supported your idea, your thought process became resilient, that okay, yes, I will pursue it, right? You're sure about it, right? Does your personality support that idea, right? There are a lot of things that I feel, oh great, what an idea. I see it to a lot of businesses. I think you also say it to a lot of businesses. Wow, what an idea. Itna acha kaam kiya, right? When Zomato came, Swiggy came, okay, what a great idea. But would I like to pursue it as an entrepreneur? And 99% of the time I said, no, I cannot, I don't want to pursue this, right? I won't be able to scale it up. I won't be able to make it successful forever. So that's another question you need to, give it to yourself. I got an idea, I want to pursue it. For how much time would I want to pursue it? Is it a short-lived thing or it's a long-term thought? When you have this idea, you supported by your research, good to go, right? When you're researching, also do one thing, test your product or service. What does it mean? I did it. For instance, when we initially started, so we wanted to take genuine feedbacks of people. So the people I know, my friends, my family, the relatives, my mummy's friend, my papa's friend. So I made a call to them. I told them, oh, there's a product in market. I didn't tell them it was mine. It wasn't there till yet, right? And I took their reviews, right? I created a subset. Okay, 60 something percent say it will work and they want it. 40% people say I don't want it, right? So I tested my product. A lot of startups do test it. Like you have seen those cars covered with cloth, brand new cars covered with cloth driving through roads, right? The car companies are testing its performance actually. They don't want to reveal the car, they don't want to reveal the brand name. So they've hidden it with a cloth, right? And we feel, wow, why are these cars being driven on road? Is it allowed, right? They're actually testing the product. A lot of cafes do, you have seen it in front of your eyes. A lot of cafe would come up with new shakes, new drinks, right? While you are sitting with your friends, they would come up to you and offer the product to you for free, right? You will like it, you won't like it. So that's generally called product testing, or the service that you're providing tested in the market, right? So the three steps that I feel is generally important is ideation, research, and then test the product that you have created, right? The fourth point I would say is to network with right people. There might have been people who have done this business before, or they're doing it before, since you would not imagine, right? You might find people who are actually having this business on the product that you have created, right? Network with them, learn from their experience, learn from their thoughts, what challenges they faced, what I would say what made them stick on it as a business. Why didn't they change this product? Why are they continued with the product they had 5 years back and they are the same now? So when you will understand the why behind it, again, you will get an insight, right? So network with people, because that was one of the problems I faced, because I told you I was an introvert person. I had ideas, I had research, but I was always shy to build relationship with people. Generally, the people who are, easy to talk to get successful early because they know how to communicate, or they're like this. And it's because of school, I would say, right? Generally you gain these personality trait in school where you feel very easy to talk to anybody, right? For few like me, it's not easy. So again, it comes to the personality part, right? Everything you do in a business, it's somehow related to your personality. So always keep yourself on the brink, that okay, I have to change this in me, or I have to change this in me, so that I would be able to have good results in my business, right? Just don't. A lot of people try out businesses, but they don't try out their own personalities, right? And that's what I was taught through my mentors, through the people I networked with, that okay, you have to build this quality in yourself to be successful in this business, right? Because I had no qualities. And when I understood this, I actually worked on it. Like for instance, I never used to read books. So one of my mentor told me it's very important to read books. I said Harry Potter. No, he said non-fiction books. So the non-fiction books that had journeys of entrepreneurs, the biographies, the autobiographies, when I read them, I gave so much that I couldn't have from talking to people, because people are not generally available for, let's suppose, a week, right? For instance. So one of the traits that I built was to read books of people who were great in business, right? I read biographies. I remember few quotations. I remember few things that will always be with me while I am performing my business actions, right? यार उस एंटरप्रेन्योर ने ऐसा किया था उसके इस चैलेंज के टाइम पे, उसने ऐसा किया था. I have to have these insights, right? And that generally the tricks, or the answers to the higher order thinking skills question in 11th and 12th, that are not found in NCERT books, but are found in keys and the punjis, right, written by authors, right? So you go to the stationery and you find these books, and try to get those 2 to 5 marks in your board exams that comes with the hot questions. That is what the personality trait is all about, right? You have to keep it up with your business, because that's how you'll be able to shape your business. So network, for that you should have help, of course, through your mentors, through your teachers, through the people who support you, of course. Try to find good, meaningful relationship with people. Try to build relationship with people. Or I'm telling you, I posted on LinkedIn once that if you're a student, everything in the world is free to you if you know how to make it free for yourself. अगर आप एक स्टूडेंट है तो आपके लिए दुनिया में सब मुफ्त है, अगर आपको पता है कि इस पर्टिकुलर चीज को मुझे फ्री में कैसे लाना है. Like I told you initially also, I was a student in a branded university, right? I could utilize its name till I am in my college, right? To get few errands done. Are you getting it? If you are in Desh Bandhu and if you're not networking to, let's suppose, give me a name of a college, anyone. Any one college apart from Desh Bandhu. Let's suppose Khalsa College, right? If you're not networking, being in the same university, right? What's the point? Lakhs of students come to this city to study. If you're not networking, what's the point? Because I knew my product has to reach everywhere in India, and I thought, I live in Delhi, I don't have the finances to go out. Let me build business in Delhi University only. My product supported the target audience of Delhi University, and when I did that, it expanded automatically to India, because they were students from India studying in University of Delhi. And that is the essential thought of networking. And networking simply means net plus work. A lot of people working on the same thought would give you that network. So if your thought has to be supported, it has to have a network, right? There's a very famous post I read on LinkedIn that you should have board of mentors, like you have board of directors in a company. You should have a board of mentors for yourself. Such a great thing, you know. And the one who wrote it is, of course, is a successful person, is an entrepreneur, because he or she understands it, right? That you should have good advisors. I don't think I will be able to take all the gyan. Then I have to go back to the, I would say Aradhana and the meditation and everything, right? I don't, then I need people. I need my seniors. I need my teachers. I need my mentors, right? Guiding me. Not necessarily for the business part, but only for the my personality part, right? Because they will be able to judge my personality more than myself that I could do in mirror. Because in mirror, I could only, have my hair be right and have my face be right or my makeup be right. Nothing else, right? The inner personality had to be groomed with help, and that would help you become better business persons or entrepreneurs, because you would have an added experience of other people, right? Because someone who has already a solution, why would I care to have another solution for it? It's as simple as that, right? Now don't go back to your arrogant minds while you were a student. Okay, he got A plus, I would get O plus. There's nothing more than A plus, right? That's the thought that you should have while networking with people, while networking with students all around you, or mentors, or the seniors, or the entrepreneurs, or the business persons. They would be essentially able to guide you better. Again, the fifth point, I would say, understand your finances. See, as commerce students, I would say you have a lot of theoretical knowledge over things that you've been taught through NCRTs and your teachers and the whole environment, educational environment. But have you practically applied it? I would really want to ask a question to all of you here. How many of you have made your own balance sheets? Please write it on the chat box. If you have done it, just write me or raise your hand. Let's see how many responses comes. Me, me. 2 out of 48. Try to understand this. 2 out of 48 people have made their own balance sheets, right? Of course, when you are running a business, you need to have the hisab of a chawanni, right? If you don't have the hisab of a chawanni, you won't be able to. Now, of course, you can recruit accountants, people for it, but initially you need to understand the finances before you building it, right? Understand personal finance. Okay, do I have money to start a business? If you're a student, have you saved a pocket money, or you did part-time jobs where you made money and you saved it? Or you could be funded by your family, or you could be funded by anyone you know, right? You need to understand that initially. Initial 1 2 lakh rupees to operate, to set up a company. Do you have this amount, right? Maybe not. Then how would you go about it, right? And if you have 2 lakh rupees and you invest everything in your business, how would you buy a chocolate? How would you buy an ice cream? How would you buy, your daily needs? Understand the finances, the balance sheet part. Of course, might not need to be that technical, right? But of course, a little bit understanding of your finances is very important, right? And that could only be done when you, of course, spend it out, right? I exhausted a whole of my savings in the first month. So I thought, oh, what will I do in the second month, right? Right. I used to meet people in good cafes while having customer and client meetings, and used to, you know, what I would say, serve them with a shake. Then I realized it's hard to stop. I won't. Everyone who's coming to meet me would buy his or her own drink. As simple as that. Right. So few things, right? Initially, when you start, extremely important that you are managing, or if you've been supported by your family in terms of finances, right? How much money would you want to take from them, right? How much money is enough for you so that you don't feel dependent? So there are a lot of questions when you talk about finances. The problem is, in Indian households, we are not ought to talk about finances, right? We are just only, taught to write and get marks on it. That's the reason ComSoc students, out of 48 people, only two have, made their balance sheets. So understand the finances, prepare a balance sheet for at least a year, right? Then you will decide your targets. Okay, in 1 year I will have this much of revenue with me. In 1 month I will have this much of revenue after launching it, right? After 2 months I will have this much of revenue in my business. My expected profit would be like this. So you need to work on paper a lot. So finances is the most essential part of a business, right? uh second last to the last part, I would say, don't shy away from sales. A lot of people would start a business, then they would see, oh, I have to sell, I have to go out and talk to people. Oh, a lot of people realize it after they start their business, right? So it takes them over an year, only if they are determined, to develop the personality, right? Because a lot of, I would say, students specifically who are not guided well, who have not been taught well in terms of sales and marketing, they feel it's a headache. Oh, how would I sell? I don't have the skills. I don't have the personality. I'm very shy to talk to people. I don't want to sell. I feel selling is cheap. A lot of people have these thoughts, right? That's because of the upbringing of generally our middle class households, right? There's a very famous speaker and an entrepreneur in India. You will find him on YouTube. I watch his Josh talks, and he generally comes on TV. His name is Captain Raghu Raman, I guess, right? He's an ex-army. So he shared, if you go out to street lights, the red light areas in your city, and you'll see small and big vendors selling balloons, pens, sweets, papad, whatnot, right? If you observe them for a day, your 2 year MBA would be completed. Not my words. Don't, scrutinize me for this line. He said on a platform in I would say Joe's talks or a TED talk, right? Your whole 2 year MBA would be done, right? Of course, now not the technical and theory part. What he wanted to say was, you'll understand business, how business runs, right? How that person communicates. I take it as a responsibility. If I see a 10, 12-year-old kid coming to me, I always buy something, a pen, a flower, a balloon, right? I always buy it, right? I've made a sock. If you're in around North Campus or South Campus area, you'll find a lot of students selling. I don't know what girls say. What do you have on your heads? I would say the clippings. I don't know, right? Something like that. Girls would sell clippings, socks, right? Little things, and I always buy. I support. I don't support the begging part, but I always support it, and I try to learn from them. What script are they using, right? Getting it? Sometimes they say, oh, khana nahi khaya, please le lo. That's wrong script. But sometimes they do very good, right? देखो भैया हमारे पास 5 कलर की socks है, इनमें से आप कुछ लीजिए, right? So that's what we have seen grown up with. So see, selling is this. Well, selling is also sitting in a 5-star hotel, asking your client to see the presentation on your laptop, right? Getting it? Garv is right. He says, Didi ke liye le lo. I understand what you're getting at. I think you must have bought for your Didi, huh? Not that Didi. I know what you're sharing here. So you could be sitting in a 5-star hotel giving presentation to your prospect, or you could be selling on street, or you could be selling online, anything. Try to understand selling. Selling doesn't mean selling. Selling means solving. I don't have socks. Somebody solved a problem by giving me socks. Getting it? Mukesh Ambani solved a bigger problem by establishing a cheap network of telecommunication. Are you getting it? Somebody solved this online meeting platform called Zoom. Getting it? Of course, he sold. If you take the premium subscription, you have to pay at least $14 to $15 a month. He or she is selling you, and if he or she would have shied away, ये होता ही नहीं आज जो हम कर पा रहे हैं. Yes or no? So that is again the necessary part. I have to be very true, and that only comes when you are very true with communication. So I'm actually relating entrepreneurial journey to your personality, because that was my experience. I guess that is a lot of people's experience. They tend to become entrepreneurs right? But they don't tend to have that skills. To develop that skills, you need to be very true with yourself. You need to be very out of the equation that people will judge me. Yes, people would judge you because people judge only those who are changing. And if you're not changing, you're at the same place. And when you're the same place, you will tend to understand that you're not growing. And when you're not growing, why is it that you want to be a entrepreneur? Why is that you would want to, uh, take up it as a lifelong thing? So I guess that sums up my thought. And eventually, when you are doing business, try to scale it up, because that's again one of my failures. I was doing good until I failed. I didn't change it with time. I didn't scale it up. I reached at a level where I thought, okay, it's working. Then I didn't see it is working today, but it might not work tomorrow. And that's what happened with me. It didn't work tomorrow. So I failed. And then I have to build it again. So it's a journey, right? So that's the equation you try to be in, and build your entrepreneurial journey. And eventually, one most important trait that I always talk about is that because you have initially decided that you will stay in the you will pursue it for long term, your personality is now you have created that personality to be an entrepreneur forever. So you have to have an attitude of never giving up, right? Never giving up, never saying die to your business, never shying it away from everything. These are few traits that will help your journey. And for that, again, the personality part comes in. You have to develop that personality. And we could look at our moms. My mom, she wakes up at 5, goes to school, makes us the food, right? Comes back, learned laptop at the age 55, took online classes. Now when schools are reopened, she's managing the whole bus part. I get inspired a lot, right? I guess, if your mom is working, or you would see a lot of you'll get a lot of inspiration from a personality like this, right? We have two teachers here, and I respect that fact. As a woman, what individually they do, because these are certain traits that could help you grow your business, right? So always try to, even your father, even your family, anyone you can learn from, right? Try to learn personality traits that could make you successful, you know because if you learn a personality trait, let's suppose, when I made almost 210 speeches till now. I didn't do anything in school. The only time I was on stage in school, when I was in my 5th standard and I read sports news, and my legs shook in front of the whole assembly. So because I, got out of my comfort zone and I spoke in front of people, मुझे वो स्किल आ गया लोगों से बात करने का, डील्स को क्लोज करने का, सेल्स करने का, राइट? मेरी पर्सनालिटी में वो ऑटोमेटिकली आने लग गया सॉल्यूशंस की तरफ बढ़ने का। प्रॉब्लम फेस करके पहले डर जाना, अब वो डर नहीं लगता, अब लगता है ओके सॉल्व करते हैं, फिगर आउट करते हैं, राइट? बिकॉज व्हेन यू डेवलप दीज ट्रेड्स, you become a better entrepreneur, right? Because you'll find ways around it, right? There are a lot of products that I still feel should not exist, but they're making millions, right? Because the entrepreneur who's running it has made a way around it, right? He feels, उसको लगता है ये जरूरी है तो वो चल रहा है. Until you feel okay, this business is important, वो चलेगा. आपको ही लग गया जिस दिन okay, मेरा बिजनेस इंपॉर्टेंट ही नहीं है, लेकिन लोग खरीद रहे, वो अगले दिन बंद हो जाएगा. Are you getting it? Because see, there are so many solutions coming up in terms in forms of businesses, right? Zomato is now giving you food in 10 minutes, right? I don't know how they will do it, but the entrepreneur believes, okay, I will be able to serve food in 10 minutes. So he ought to be successful then, as simple as that, right? Because he believes in, right? So there's so many business ideas, so many, things that people believe in, entrepreneurs believe in, and they make it successful. Even if the market is not there, they create the market for it. They create the need, right? So that's another 45 minutes of talk that I won't be doing here. I'm just giving you the gist. So as I said in the beginning, that this webinar will not give you a roadmap to become an entrepreneur, will solve you your general queries and would solve you the personality that you need to gain to become an entrepreneur. And the real thing would come only when you experience it or yourself. So I did a lot of things. I started when I was 18. I ran two, three businesses. Now I'm with the two, three brands. One is full time. So you'll get opportunities, also to collaborate with people, to collaborate with businesses, and then run yourself as a business person. So it shapes out as you see with time, as you see with your ventures, as you see it with yourself. Then again, you need to have the skin in the game, right? If you don't have your skin in the game, you won't necessarily become big, and it would just be a immature idea, giving you rewards for a few months, for a few years, and then vanishing it up in few seconds. So try to create a personality for yourself. Try to utilize, as a university student, if you start now, you have a great deal of student thought category where you could connect with people and people would be willing to help you, because a lot of people would want to guide youngsters, right? Me being one of them, to connect with them, because somebody guided me, somebody helped me, somebody trained me, somebody mentored me. Of course, I wasn't alone in my journey, right? I found people from Jaipur, I found people from India, I found people abroad, you know who at some points helped me shape up my mind, and they helped me take me forward. So of course, you are not alone in your journey. There are a lot of people who support you, and to have that support, you need to start somewhere, and I guess that's the best place to start if you're a college student. So that's it from my side. I hope I did justice to the thought of entrepreneurship, and you understood well. And that's it from my side. I would say I would really love to have questions from you, and would help you have more insights. Back to Sonam.
Uh, yeah, thank you so much, Nishant sir. And I hope the students have learned a lot from you. And I think that if they have any doubt, they can contact you in that case.
Personally,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't
yes.
mind being contacted personally. Yes, but if anyone wants to shoot questions here, I can
Yeah.
really.
Now, yes, sir. Harshita, please take over.
Sure, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you
Good
for
afternoon,
coming.
Harshita. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming. And this was a very insightful and very relatable talk. We have a lot of questions here. First,
Okay.
Harsh is asking, as these days, everyone, including me, seeing various entrepreneurship shows and thinking or dreaming of having a startup.
Mhm.
So, what will be your piece of advice or go to mantra you want to give them on their first step towards their ultimate goal?
I already mentioned the first step. You're dreaming of a startup. Why are you dreaming of a startup? Firstly, if you have an answer for it, right, the next step is to start. As simple as that, right? Where do you start? You start either will finding with a person who will support your idea, or you start yourself, right? Of course, for a business, you need to have a product or a service, right? So, do you have a product or a service created, or you have to create it, right? So the second question is this: if you are able to answer the first question, that is why do you dream to have a startup? The second question is, what product service are you offering? And then the third and the fourth and the fifth question would come up to you. So solve these first two questions, right? What's your product? And don't tell to anyone that why are you starting up. Not do not tell it to me. Tell it to yourself, right? And then tell the world what product and service you have.
Moving to next question, we have, what do you find most challenging about being an entrepreneur?
What do you find most challenging about
Challenging,
being?
yeah, about being an entrepreneur.
I think managing yourself, managing your thoughts, managing your mindset, managing your emotions. We as an economy have never been given the education on emotional intelligence, or we don't have that much of EQ, emotional quotient, as a 19, 20, 21-year-old. So while you're running a business, that simply means you're running a lot of people, you're running a lot of thoughts, and understanding, right? You don't tend to have these emotions. You don't tend to have the answers to these emotions. So better to find campaigns or programs or guidance from mentors, or maybe you do meditation. Handle your emotions. If you can handle your emotion well, you can handle your business.
Next in line, Arpit Jain is asking what one should look for when building a team. What one should look for when building a team.
What one should look for when building a team.
Yeah.
Okay. First, this synergy. Synergy simply means the other person's energy and your energy combined. So do you feel good vibes with that person, right? Don't just hire on the basis of talent. I don't believe that. Initially, of course, at a later period, you should hire on the basis of only talent. But initially, because you would be spending most of the time with that person or that initial team, right? So hire on the basis of the vibes, on the vision and the personality, right? Do you get along? Because it's very, I was the when a very funny incident, I was the president for 3 years for Film and Photography Society that I established in my college. So I had a very talented person in my team, and because I was the head, so he always had a problem with me. So we couldn't gel up. So I knew I cannot scale up my Film and Photography Society. That was just not a society to me, but was a society to him, because he would just graduate and go on, and I would build this society even after I graduate, and I did that, right? So I knew whom I want to find and whom I want to keep with me. So I took one of my friends who was not that much into films, but I took him with me because I know if we work together, we'll be able to achieve good things, right? But I didn't collaborate with a person who was extremely talented but didn't match the vibes with me, because that was the initial company I was looking for, right? So it matters to me a lot which initial company I have, right? Is it of people who are talking forward, or is it the people who are talking present or the backward thing, right? Because if you're through with this idea of entrepreneurship, you don't want to waste time, on mismanaging your emotions and just sorting out things that are not required.
Yeah. So Anant is asking how to build strategy to compete among the competitors of your same product.
Okay, that's a very very good question, because that's where it's decided that either you'll succeed or either you won't. How to build strategies to first understand your target audience well. Target audience is the audience or the market you're focusing on. And ये मेरे customers बन सकते हैं, right? Why are they buying the existing product or the competitor's product, right? Why it's being sold in the market? Why people are fond of it? वो खरीद क्यों रहे हैं? क्या reasons है? It requires a research. It requires a definitive, subset of people's thoughts and opinions, right? And then you look around, see what could be added in mine, what expertise that I have that I could add this in product or service, right? And then I can sell or promote it to the people. So study the marketers, study the competitors, study everything, have a research, right? And then try to add definitive, not made. Don't add hundreds of things to your product. Nobody likes to hear 100 things, right? Add a few 3 points that could actually, scale up the product or the service that you have, and then build a whole of your business on it. In general terms, it's like called hero product, जो बिकता सबसे ज्यादा है और अच्छा बनाया जा सकता है, इजी इसको अच्छे से स्केल अप किया जा सकता है. तो find that hero product with a better research and a better market for it. What is the I guess I'm getting 2-3 questions.
Yeah, so let me help you with the questions.
I've got a direct question that a lot of people are being convinced to join a network marketing firm. See, network marketing is a great business. I am a supporter of it because it really helps you grow everything that you have, that you might not have in terms of personality or in terms of business, or you could take it lifelong. The only point is you need to research the right company. The right company would have right products, right understanding, right set of people, right set of business plan, right set of earning model, and right set of your compensation thing. So you need to research a lot. There are a lot of Ponzi schemes. There are a lot of schemes that might destroy you. I was lucky. I was into right association, so that helped me grow in this. So try to find the right. I'm always say any business you're doing, always research and try to find the right things out of it. Right. So it's a great thing. Indian government is supporting it a lot. KPMG, FICCI, what everybody is getting, uh, big support for the industry, but you need to find the right organization, right? Yeah, Harshita, back to you.
Yeah. Next in line we know that everyone has their ideal to whom they always look upon and try to achieve what they have after their pure real struggle. So who are yours look upon person?
See, I have personally read a lot of stories. I look up to a lot of people. I don't have any one person I look up to. I already told you that if I can learn from 100 of people, why should I look up to only one person? Firstly, that's what my philosophy is. A lot of people have only one person to look up to, and that's completely fine. For me, I just look up to the person I will be in 5 years. Again, a political answer, but that I think it's supposed to be. And I will advise you to have the same outlook towards life. If you ask me whom I've learned from famous people. I've learned from my parents. I've learned from teachers. I've learned from mentors. I've learned from the neighbor. I've learned from everyone, right? And I've looked up to them at a point in life, right? But people are, stories and people are like this only. Somebody who's solving a personal relationship problem, I might look up to him or her at a point in my life, right? Somebody who's getting good business, I might look up to him or her at a point in my life. So for me, it keeps changing at the where on the basis where I'm at the point in my life, right? So there are a lot of people, not one specifically, right? I learn from a lot of people. I get energies from a lot of people who have been successful or who have supported or emotionally, or in terms of anything. So I have a list. Yeah.
Yeah. Next in line Mohit is asking, what is the impact of COVID-19 and recession on startups?
What is the impact?
What is
Oh,
impact of COVID-19 and
I
recession?
particularly see. I have only seen growth after COVID-19, because a lot of people have, of course, lost their jobs and a lot of people have resigned also, right? So I guess today it might be a 60-40 ratio, right? Where people would want to, 40, I would say a lot of people would want to go for entrepreneurship because they've understood, or not entrepreneurship, I would say solopreneurship, right? So solopreneurship is all about starting on your own, like maybe into content creation on social media, right? Maybe being freelancer, as a copywriter, as a marketer, where people have understood the demerits of a job, right? The environment due to COVID has changed. People would have asked for work from home jobs because they provide a lot of better opportunities while being at home, especially for people who have kids, right? So the dynamics of the whole world has changed, surely. And I would say the things have grown, but it's only because of individual choices, right? So somebody who had a good paying job and left it to become a solopreneur or maybe an entrepreneur, I don't think he would call that, okay, I lost money, right? Because that was a choice. So I guess, yeah, few industries have, of course, gotten at a point where it's very difficult for them to survive. A lot of companies have gone and shut down their operations. A lot of people have lost their jobs due to COVID, due to downsizing. And it happens even if there's COVID or not. But yes, COVID has escalated these things. And the only solution, only learning we can have right now is to build something sustainable for us. And that only happens when it's not dependent to on anyone. And that could only happen when you are an entrepreneur, or maybe a solopreneur, or maybe someone like doing freelancing. Yeah.
Anant is asking, how
Mhm.
to tackle taxes for succession of a startup?
Oh, see, I won't be able to answer it frankly. I am not a student of taxes, so we have a person for it. Uh, maybe a CA or maybe someone into CS. So higher, I would say. I have no clue for it. I don't understand it well. And
Hurt.
that's another thing. Before you judge me, entrepreneur should necessarily not know everything, right? They're people for it. Let people do CA and CS. Let them become CA and CS. Yeah.
Next, we have how to win the scale game if anyone is competing with big companies who have already have their own big setup.
Yeah. So a lot of people try to utilize it and don't compete with them. A lot of people only try to sell it to big companies. Either you can have this thought, it's also successful thought. But if you have that long vision, no, I will compete with Mukesh Ambani, then again that's your individual journey, and I don't have any comments for it. But of course you could be successful, you could be very successful, but the competition is again subjective, and at points in life and point in business operations. So it's totally up to you. How do you want to take it? Or you want to take it bang on, you could, of course, you could win. You don't want to, totally your choice. But I guess the question is more on the side that how to win the scale game. The scale game is again, I would say that we are currently doing, it's a big industry that's coming up, that's called D2C, direct to consumer. So I am part of it right now, and I'm very happy pursuing it, because when you have a direct relationship with customers, right, no one can beat you. And that relationship need to, but try to understand, Indian customer cannot be loyal always. Indian customer दुनिया का सबसे चालाक customer है, ऐसा business की दुनिया में कहा जाता है, right? So Indian customer would never be loyal. So don't have this mindset, okay, that particular consumer will stay loyal to me if I give this much of discount. It doesn't happen like that. The only share you can have in the market is by producing better goods and services for your customers, right? And scaling it up as the time goes. And to scale it up, you need to have a direct relationship so that you could grow that product through word of mouth, right? Because that's the most powerful point of marketing we could ever have, or we will ever have. Because if you tell about my product to someone, it's a win for me, right? So I don't mind if any big brand comes in, getting it. So many products who are cheap, I won't name the brand on a public forum, right? But there's very famous brand जिसके product बहुत सस्ते हैं, बहुत इनिशियली बहुत अच्छे से चले, लेकिन जब लोगों ने यूज किया, राइट, तो उनको मालूम चल गया कि ये तो अच्छे प्रोडक्ट्स ही नहीं है, और उसके फेस एक बहुत बड़े इंसान है, नाम बोलूंगा तो सब समझ जाएंगे, राइट? बहुत बड़ा ब्रांड है वो इंडिया के अंदर, इंडिया का ही ब्रांड है, और अब वो लोग जनरली यूज नहीं करना पसंद करते क्योंकि प्रोडक्ट्स अच्छे नहीं थे, राइट? चाहे वो ब्रांड $1 बिलियन का था, लेकिन अब वो नीचे आ रहा है एज पर स्टैटिस्टिक्स, गेटिंग इट? So it's up to your relationship with customers, that I feel, because I am also exploring this sector that's relatively new for us. So let's hope we are able to build big.
Uh,
I
ahead,
have a
Putta.
question. Yes, ma'am.
You want your question to put up by
Yes,
yourself?
ma'am. One last question.
Yeah.
Can we take one
Please.
last question? So, basically, everyone here is from commerce background. So, when in today's world, people are coming with online apps, online websites. Basically, they deals with the technology. But being from a commerce background, I have least knowledge regarding technology. So, how important is for commerce students to learn and deal with technology?
So I would say understand technology, because I don't think you could learn the back end of it, right? You could surely learn the back end of it, but that would require you to do courses and invest a lot of time. But you want to save time. The best part is to understand what it does, right? I am from a science background, but frankly, I don't understand technology. So it doesn't have to do with science or commerce at all, right? I am a person who only understand things when I can visualize it. Like for instance, when I was learning data structures in computer science, so I used to ask my teacher, ma'am, please explain me कि ये जो मैं type कर रहा हूँ ये laptop की screen पे आ कैसे रहा है? So she wasn't able to, and I couldn't understand it. For instance, that's my own cognitive development as a personality, right? That I can only understand the things I see, because I come from a creative background of films and everything. So I need to have a vision, a vision board or visuals for what I have to do, right? So when I am actually interacting with a customer, I actually visualize having a conversation with that customer. So that is only I will able to write the script to give it to my team to follow, right? So that's again a thing that I do. And I don't understand technology very well personally, right? So of course, the first thing is to just learn it. चल चल क्या रहा है, इसका मतलब कैसे होगा क्या, ये सब समझ सकते हैं, right? Like for instance, Web3 and blockchain came recently, cryptocurrency came. So you could understand इसका objective क्या है, right? अब ये पीछे कैसे बन रही है, I can't do it. I need to have an expert for it. So hire or collaborate somebody who does. और उसके साथ रह के थोड़ा सा और सीख जाओगे. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nishant sir, and for taking up the questions of our students so patiently. And we have an appreciation message from one of our colleagues, Sobi Dhingra ma'am, to you. She says, great session, and we will be implementing your suggestion, that is the board of members, mentors for the industry and even for ComSoc. So
Perfect.
surely we will be implementing it. And thank you for accepting our invitation and giving up your time. Now I would request Dr. Meenu ma'am to kindly give vote of thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sonam. Very good afternoon to all of you. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this event. First and foremost, I thank you, our special guest speaker, Mr. Nishank Bhatia.
Thank you,
In
ma'am.
spite of his busy schedule, he has spared time for this event. As you said, entrepreneurship cannot be taught. It is all about an experience. Your speech was thought-provoking and definitely encouraged our student to take that experience. I also express my heartfelt thanks to Professor Rajiv Agrawal for his stewardship support, vision, and commitment. We are grateful to our Vice Principal, Professor Kamal Kumar Gupta, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Aditya Saxena, for their unstinted support. We thanks to our well-wishers, faculty member of various departments for their valuable time and support. My heartfelt thanks to all my colleagues, teacher in charge, Ms. Poonam Sharma, Dr. Pramod Kumar, Seema Gupta, Surbhi Dhingra, Sonam Tomar, Akansha Singh, and Hani. And last but not the least, I thanks to our student team with Harshita and Mayank, who really made this frame for this event. Thank you, and thank you to all my students of BCom Honors as an audience here. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Harshita. Thank you, Mayank. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nishank Bhatia ji.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
I would like to thank everybody, all the audience members who were present here.
So, our faculty and students here. I think Nishank ji has left.
Okay, we end the meeting, I think.
Yes, ma'am, we can end the meeting. Thank you, our student.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.